Okay, now Jason is a double-header demo in the sense that he's got a new, Jason was the founder of Jobster. He's got a new project now called Socialmedian, which he'll explain, but he has also been kind enough to volunteer to use this event, Monaco Media Forum, as a test bed for an aspect of what he's doing, and that's so he's going to explain not only Socialmedian, but also what he's doing around this event and how all of you can, in fact, participate in that. So it's a participative thing. So he'll walk us through all that. Thank you,
Spencer. So there's a lot of things we could talk about this morning with regards to Socialmedian. We could talk about how on a budget of less than $75,000 a month in less than 8 months' time, we've created one of the fastest growing websites in the world. Grew 400% in the last week, 40,000% since the beginning of this year. A lot of things we go through when it comes to Socialmedian, but what I want to do today is really do three things and do them very quick. The first is I want to tell you a story. The second is I want to talk to you very briefly about what Socialmedian is. You can check out the site yourself, and I think most of it is self-explanatory. It's a live, up and running website. And the third is I want to show you what we're doing with the Monaco Media Forum. So I want to show you what it is special that we're doing today to enable people around the world to capture the Monaco Media Forum and to participate in it. But first, let me tell you a brief story, because every good business, I believe, starts with a story. And so the story of Socialmedian starts off with my first startup, which was actually not Jobster 5 years ago, but actually the Clinton campaign in 1991 and 1992, where I worked, was the 16th employee on the Clinton campaign early on. And the equivalent that we had of the tech IPO was we won the White House. So instead of getting rich, we got to go to work. And we got to work 100 hours a week for 6 years, and really saw in 1992 to 1998 the evolution of news and media happen in front of our eyes. I remember the changing of the news cycle in 1996 when Matt Drudge started to write, when suddenly it wasn't about the daily news cycle or the weekly news cycle if you were a news magazine. It was about the hourly or the minute news cycle as something would happen in front of our eyes and we'd suddenly have to react to it. And if you think about the fundamental relationship that people have with the news and how much that has changed in just the last 6 or 7 years, if you think about the 100 years prior to the year 2000, the key relationship that most people have with the news was their local newspaper. Your local newspaper told you every day, here's what you need to know about the world around you, about your community, as well as the broader world in general. And you think about the power that the editors of that local paper had is they decided every day, here's what you need to know. They looked through everything and said, here's what you need to know about news, about sports, about weather, about your community. What happened in the year 2000 is people started to develop direct relationships to not just their local paper, but to many different authoritative websites across the internet. They can go directly to CNN.com, to WashingtonPost.com, to BBC.com, to derspiegel.com, whatever it was, timesofindia.com. And suddenly, instead of having a single relationship that was delivered to them every morning, it was many independent relationships that individuals are going directly to. Then what happened in 2002 and 2003 is it became not just about authoritative content, it also became about blogs, about all sorts of new types of content. And then most recently, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, the amount of content is just multiplied many times exponentially over, as it's now not just about authoritative content, newly authoritative content, the long tail of blogs, but also what people are creating every single day on sites like Twitter or Dig or Delicious or YouTube or Flickr, etc. And the challenge that most people have when you look at the problem today is who's the editor? Who actually is helping people figure out what do you need to know? What do you need to know in order to do your job? What do you need to know in order to follow your interests, to follow your pursuits, your passions, or if you're family? How do you wade through all that information to figure out what do you need to know today, what do you need to know by the minute, and do so in a way where you feel like it's exhaustive in terms of it's across all of these various sources of content, but without having to do the work to actually go and get it. And you think about, one of the things that we had back when I was at the White House is we had someone who every day, his job was to go through all the papers. We had these papers outside today and create what we call the clips. The clips, basically, a guy came in at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning, and he went through all the papers and said, here is what you need to know. All right, so here is a compilation from the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all these other sites. Well, you think about going through just what was handed to us outside this room is onerous. Now think about if you take this and multiply it by 1,000 or 1 million or 10 million in terms of all the content that's being created every single day out there on the internet. It's impossible for an editor to do. It's impossible for any single one person to do, especially when people's information DNA runs from, mine for instance, is the Washington Redskins, the Baltimore Orioles, venture capital, Web 2.0, Tuscany Travel. Who are the editors who can find that information for me? Now, last night we heard from Tina Brown, who has an interesting model, very similar to, say, the Drudge Report, where she and her team of editors admirably go out and figure out what do you need to know. The problem is not all of us have the same interests as Tina Brown. Not all of us have the same interests as that team of editors. We all have our own unique information DNA. And so we tried to build with social media as a system where we could recreate the clips, but in a community, collaborative way across the internet. And that's really what the story of social media is all about. The idea of social media is very simple. For any topic that someone is interested in, any specific topic, there is a set of other people out there who can help them figure out what is worth knowing at a given moment in time. And what is worth knowing both from authoritative content as well as from newly authoritative content and the entire long tail of the web. In essence, creating millions and millions of Matt Drudges or Tina Browns to populate across the internet and help each other form, here's what you need to know. And to do so in a way where the people's reputation helps bubble to the top so that people who are doing a really good job of being editors can help other people figure out, here's what you need to know. And so that's a system that we've built in social media. The way it works, if you look at our website, is every individual on social media has their own unique personalized homepage. This is mine. Of all of our social media users, no two users have the exact same homepage. And the way the homepage is constructed is basically in a feed model, very similar to almost Facebook for real news. Think about if you use Facebook, you have a news feed where you see the activities of people that you're connected to. In our case, it's activities of people that either share your topical interests, so they're in your news networks, or they're people who are in your social graph, so people you're connected to already in other sites, whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on other sites that you're already a member of. And then what we do is we help people very easily point out to each other, here's the news you need to know. You see a story you like, you clip it. For instance, here's a story on Starbucks profit plummets 97%. This story actually came from friend feed, so you see we're gathering all this information from across the web. Here's a different story. Is Windows 7 any different? This is someone actually just clipped this on Google Reader a little while ago. And what you see is I can very easily scan through, at a minute-by-minute basis, the news that my social network is choosing for me. And it's choosing for me based on the specific interests that I have. Every single member of social media has different interests. Our users have created over 2,300 different news networks in the last couple of months on topics big and small. And what your homepage does, it compiles all of that based on the topics you belong to, the news networks you belong to, as well as your social graph, and helps you very easily at a glance say, what is my network saying is interesting? So if you see, I just clipped, for instance, this story, Starbucks profit plummets 97%. What also happens is that actually gets echoed across the web as well. So for instance, Jason, now my Facebook status is Starbucks profit plummets by 97% across the web. That also is now populated across other sites I use, like FriendFeed and LinkedIn and others. And so now my social graph is now seeing everything that I'm seeing, reading the news through me, without even having to come to social media as well. And so, for instance, I could be back here on this, hold on one second. I could be back here looking at the story that here's a picture that someone submitted last night from Flickr with Prince Albert II in the Monaco Media Forum. I could say that I like this story. Just click this little button here. Go back to my Facebook here, and you'll see that the status has now been updated. Jason likes Prince Albert II at Monaco Media Forum. All right, and so people are following what I'm reading, and they're doing so across the distributed web, not just here on social media. Now, I mentioned these things called news networks. We've created news networks. Our users actually create all these news networks on topics ranging big and small, any topic. For instance, here's a news network on the Obama White House transition. It aggregates news from thousands of sources that our users have kind of brought together, as well as what our users are adding in terms of the sites they use, whether it's YouTube, Delicious, Dig, Google Reader, Flickr, Quick, all these various sites. All of that comes into this one place, and we have different algorithms to present to people. For the network you belong to, here is the information you need. And so an example is the White House transition. Here is a news network on venture capital. Here is a news network on Twitter. Here is a news network on Web 2.0. And again, the users, they decide which of these networks they want to join, and their homepage newsfeed aggregates the activity of people and brings that up to their homepage. They just see the news that they need to know about the interests they care about. Now, one special news network that we created for the election a couple weeks ago was with the Washington Post. We created a special news network for election 2008. This has helped gather information from thousands of sources as well as user-generated sources and brought it all in one place to then people be able to follow along all of this very easily. This was featured on the Washington Post. It was actually featured on The Guardian as well and other websites. And then we looked at this model and we said, well, now we can take this to other types of events and news and things that happen in the news. And so we did a new one today for the Monaco Media Forum, where for the Monaco Media Forum we are announcing mmf.socialmedian.com. where anybody from around the world can now follow and listen in and watch all the developments here at the Monaco Media Forum. Every Twitter tweet, every blog post, every Flickr image, every YouTube post that anybody here at the forum creates. Very easily, people from at home from around the world can just follow along. They can follow along and see what's popular in terms of the hot stories right now. They can join the discussions. They can also see things that are recently added. So let me take just 1 second to show everybody how you get yourself set up here, because it's very easy. It takes literally 10 seconds. And if you're doing a blog post, you're doing a Flickr photo, you're adding a YouTube video, you're sending a Twitter message over the next 2 days, it'll automatically get updated here onto the mmf.socialmedian.com website. So very easily, I'm going to show you this, and if you don't have your laptop here, you can go back to your hotel room and set it up. Really quickly, I'll show you how this works. So all you need to do is sign up here. You click Join In. You create an account. So we'll create MMF demo at socialmedian.com. All right. And you sign up. And once you sign up, all you need to do is you take the sites that you already use. So for instance, let's say you use Twitter. All you do is enter in your Twitter IDs. Let's say your Twitter ID is MMF. And then any tweet you send, any message you send over the next couple of days related to the Monaco Media Forum will automatically get added to this page. You can do the same thing if you're doing Flickr. So you take your Flickr, put your username in here, and any image that you send over the next couple of days will automatically get posted to this page. Same thing with YouTube. Same thing if you're using services like Quick, which is live video streaming. You can add your blog feed. Anything that you add will then be added to the mmf.socialmedian.com webpage, and people from around the world will be able to follow in. And so you follow along. And so you see, for instance, we're already featuring videos that are being created here on YouTube. We're already featuring things that people are doing on their blogs. There's Twitter posts that are coming in by the minute here. And so encourage everyone, just take a second, go to mmf.socialmedian.com, set yourself up, and we can help everyone around the world follow along and participate in the Monaco Media Forum from wherever they are. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, in fact, just so that everybody